Richard and Sarah Turnbull are on a mission to try and become totally self-sufficient on their farm in Tuscany.
I would think twice about paying a lot of money for something that I knew I could grow for nothing in my own garden.
They're also cashing in on their own experience by helping the next wave of Brits find the Italian dream.
There you go. One view.
This week, Richard struggles to bag his biggest property bonus to date.
Richard, this is probably the worst bridal suite I've ever seen in the whole of Europe.
And Sarah discovers how living off the grid doesn't always make for a simple life.
Richard! The water's gone off, darling!
It's been a long, tough summer for the Turnbulls. After closing their holiday rental business and leaving a €9,000 hole in their finances,
Look at that.
the past few months have been all about making money any way they can. Luckily, the most lucrative time of year is looming, the olive harvest. A good crop can net them up to €6,000, but last year they barely made 300, so they need to make sure this harvest is a good one.
Because we don't do the rental business anymore, it's been doubly important to make all aspects of the farm pay for themselves and make them all as successful as possible.
Today, Richard's carrying out vital maintenance in preparation for this crucial time.
Ivy or any other kind of weeds and brambles are a bad thing, so the more we can get rid of them, the better it is for the well-being of the tree. The better condition the tree's in, the more it produces, the more money we make at the end of the day. Last year was a dreadful year, and it was a dreadful year for everybody. There was just hardly any olives whatsoever. This year, the trees look in great condition, lots of olives, so it's important for us to maximise this year, because who knows, the year after might be another bad year.
Elsewhere on the farm, the boys are making the most of the school holidays. And Sarah is tending to her horses. This year, they gambled most of their savings buying Fuchsia, a purebred Morgan mare, to start a new horse breeding business. Unfortunately, a mix-up by the UK breeder meant their first foal, Puzzle, turned out to be a bit of a mongrel.
My first purebred Morgan, well, obviously it wasn't.
Nevertheless, a local horse dealer offered €5,000 for him.
Francesco!
But when Sarah visited his ranch, she called off the deal.
I wouldn't have sold him to him, not for €100,000.
So the puzzle of what to do with Puzzle remains unsolved. And in the meantime, they have yet another mouth to feed.
What I'm going to do is advertise Puzzle privately and see what the response is. We'll find somewhere nice for you to go. Somebody who's going to love you and not wrestle you to the floor like a madman.
Selling Puzzle privately will mean it's unlikely she'll get €5,000 for him. Desperate to claw back some of her costs, Sarah's decided to contact the breeder she bought the pregnant mare from in the first place.
I was wondering if you would be happy just to refund me the covering cost for Fuchsia.
Yeah, of course I will, no problem.
Brilliant. Oh, that's super. OK, you're a star. Thanks. Bye-bye. The breeder's going to give me £500 back, which is what it would have cost in the first place to cover the mare with the right horse, not the wrong horse. So that is a result. It's been a bit of a fiasco, but selling horses ain't no easy business. It's all a little bit harder work than I would have hoped, but then, of course, business is like that. It always starts off hard. Hopefully, in the end, I'll get a good name and people will forget that I was the one that started off with a funny, cuddly, half-bred Morgan to begin with.
Undeterred by the false start to her horse breeding business, Sarah has a new money-spinning venture up her sleeve. She wants to turn some of that olive oil into something a bit more therapeutic.
Lavender oil is very, very good for you. It's disinfectant. The smell is extremely good for sleep. There we go.
It's also something she can grow herself.
Come into Blanca, mate.
And today she's planting a new lavender bed, if she can crack the sun-baked Tuscan soil.
After a whole summer of no rain, and this particular part of the terrace, the horses have been up and down and stuff, it's all compacted. It's not easy. Some people go to the gym. I do some light digging. It is my hobby, but here we haven't got enough money to indulge in non-paying hobbies, so hopefully we'll be able to make a bit of money out of it and sell some of the products from the lavender in the farm shop. It's a long-term plan, the lavender. It's not an immediate thing because the plants are quite small, so you won't have this beautiful line of lavender immediately. But next year, this lavender will flower and I'll be able to do all sorts of things with it. Here, we make money in little bits all over the place, and it adds up to, you know, something that will pay the mortgage, which is great.
Living off the land is all well and good, but Richard and Sarah are always on the lookout for other ways to bring in extra cash. And an increasing number of English couples tying the knot in Tuscany has meant Richard's been able to revive his old profession. Back in the UK, he made a decent living, running mobile discos and impersonating Jimmy Savile.
Now the lots of noise this evening for Sir Jim. When we left England, I thought I'd really left that behind. And to be doing this now in some hugely historical venues, and there I am playing with my old decks and the old gear and the old flashing lights, and it's the youth club discos come to town.
Tonight he'll be DJing at a wedding reception at the spectacular Renaissance Villa of Vina Maggio. It was used as the backdrop for Kenneth Branagh's film Much Ado About Nothing, and is rumoured to be the birthplace of the real-life Mona Lisa.
You would think, you know, you're doing some fabulous Renaissance villa, you're going to really have to be on your best behaviour, and do you know what I mean? And no, you do exactly the same as you did at some working men's club back in Leeds.
Today's event has been organised by wedding planner James Lord. He gets Richard to DJ at most of his do's on just one condition: no Jimmy Savile.
Well, the sun sets, I'll get set up to party on down later on.
OK.
Yeah.
Without the wig?
Without the wig.
Clearly, however, old habits die hard.
How's about we don't plug this thing in here and see if Dr. Electric can talk to Professor Bulb? Oh, yes, indeed he can. How's about that, then you'll see bright lights of Tuscany. I never dreamt that I would be doing mobile discos in Italy, but it never, ever crossed our minds that we could do it over here and make money at it.
Richard earns far more DJing in Italy than he did in the UK, and he's clearly lost none of his magic.
My name's Richard, and we are gonna rock the house.
How do you describe the feeling?
In the mood for a bit of an ease up this evening. Yeah.
And as everybody dances into the night, Richard's little money-spinning gig may be about to pay off big time. The following morning, he heads off for a breakfast meeting with James Lord. He's looking to buy a venue to host his high-end weddings, and if Richard can find it for him, he'll earn a whacking great bonus. With an unlimited budget, James wants to find something like Vina Maggio, a tall order considering Renaissance villas don't come along that often.
These villas are very hard to come by. You can't just walk in, even if you've got 10 million available. They're probably not going to sell it to you. Hi, James, how you doing?
Richard, how you doing?
Nice to see you.
Nevertheless, Richard's prepared to give it a damn good try.
A couple of properties lined up. One needs an awful lot doing. Both got fantastic views. I think you'll find it interesting.
He's hoping that the spectacular location of the first property will more than make up for the fact that it does need a bit of work.
So here we are.
Quite a modern door on an old property.
Unfortunately, it was a victim, this property, of the kind of 1970s blitz on style and taste.
Oh, dear.
That seemed to have gone on throughout Italy.
It's truly horrific inside, isn't it? The
isn't it?
interiors.
It is.
They haven't been touched in 30 years.
And I have to warn you, it doesn't actually get much better. It doesn't. I picked the best room, actually. This is kind of the pièce de résistance, or as they say in Yorkshire, the best bit. We've got a fabulous view looking down the valley towards Pescia, and obviously
The church up there.
yeah, little hill villages.
Yeah. It's a good terrace and a perfect location. Just needs 3 years of hard work to restore it.
A couple of weekends knocked into shape.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what the price is.
The price is 550,000.
Right.
That's the asking price. So we're around the £500,000 mark for it. There's a lot to spend to realise the Tuscan dream.
Do you have a rough ballpark about what the restoration cost would be in addition to that?
I would say 1.5 million in total.
Yes.
I think you would realise an absolutely stunning venue in an unbeatable location.
Yeah.
What do you think? General thoughts?
I like it. I don't love it, but I could love it.
Encouraging words, but that bonus isn't quite in the bag yet. Let's just hope the next property has got that all-important ingredient.
I know we've talked a lot, James, about the wow factor and that your guests need to go, oh my God. So, what do you think?
Oh my God.
Richard is on his biggest property hunt of the summer, looking for the ultimate venue for wedding organiser James Lord. What he's looking for is something like this. Sadly, sumptuous villas come along once in a blue moon, but that hasn't put Richard off. Keen to bag his biggest bonus ever, he prepares to go into salesman overdrive to convince James that although not quite the stately home he's after, this next property could be the one for him.
Something a little bit different.
Yes.
OK. Come on, let's show you around.
Does the digger come with it?
What we've got is 3 properties. The main house, separate slightly smaller house,
Yes.
and then a little barn that's been converted into a property as well.
Okay.
As this property's part finished, Richard's keen to point out that it could become whatever James wants. For example, this may look like a drafty brick barn, but not if you've got vision.
It could be the little bridal suite, honeymoon hideaway, dream start to married life.
It's quite dark.
Might be a good thing if it's an ugly bride.
What, that's the staircase?
At the moment. Come on, it's functioning. You go. You do your own flooring.
Richard, this is probably the worst bridal suite I've ever seen in the whole of Europe.
You didn't go on my honeymoon, eh? I tell you, this is a palace compared to where I went.
Fearing for his bonus, Richard goes for broke by revealing the secret underground grotto.
I know we've talked a lot, James, about the wow factor and that your guests need to go, oh my God. So, what do you think?
Oh my God.
Exactly.
What's it meant to be?
It can be whatever you want. We haven't come this far not to see it all. You can keep your posh.
I've had enough. I've had enough, right? It's a definite no.
Can we negotiate? Come on.
I wouldn't pay a bean for this.
Just make an offer, he might accept it.
It seems even James hasn't got quite enough vision to buy this place.
I think you've been very negative. This last house started badly, went rapidly downhill and ended in a disaster. If I could have taken him to another property, I would have taken him there. I wouldn't, you know, I'm not out to waste the guy's time, so I would have taken him if I thought there was a better proposition for that kind of money, and there isn't. So you've got to be thinking a bit smarter.
Undeterred, Richard vows to keep looking and promises the moment he sees a for sale sign going up outside Vina Maggio, he'll be straight on the phone. Summer in Tuscany is drawing to a close, which means it's nearly time for the Palio, an annual medieval parade through the streets of the local town of Pescia. Despite living in the region for 6 years, the family's never taken part in the Palio, but as it's an essential part of the Italian year, they've decided to give it a go. Before you can fit into the community celebrations, however, you first have to fit into a costume.
Oh, Daddy, look, that's for you.
You're going to do me first. OK. I'm a bit lost in it. OK, OK.
Ci sei? Ci siamo?
See. I'm quite impressed with this. It's definitely a step up from a tea towel around your head and being a shepherd in the school play, so I'm very impressed. I've even got the right size shoes for me, which is just... No medieval person could ask for more. It's just a great thing to be a part of it. You know, we kind of said when Gregory was 3 years old, wouldn't it be great if Gregory was one day in the parade? And, yeah, that day is dawning.
Pantaloni e sandali.
Gregory gets tights and I don't get tights.
Questa va bene.
I think you look absolutely brilliant, Gregory. What do you think about your outfit?
Things are looking hopeful for Gregory, but sadly not for poor Marco. It seems for this year at least he's too tiny to go to the ball.
Sleeves are down.
I know. That's the problem, isn't it? Do you want to do it next year when Gregory does it as well? Yeah? OK. Good man. Go and have a run round quickly before we go and give it back to him.
As well as trying to live off their land as much as possible, Richard and Sarah have managed to keep costs down by making the farm virtually self-sufficient. But when Richard's in charge of your supply, things don't always run to plan.
We've got a water problem, I'm afraid, guys.
Instant droughts are actually quite a regular occurrence.
The problem with being kind of self-sufficient and trying to be as off-grid as possible is that you are completely responsible for yourselves. You're on your own. We've made this system, we've put the system in, and fortunately it means that we know how it works, but we can't just ring somebody else at a helpline somewhere and go, oh, my water's not working. Well, my helpline is Richard, and I don't have to ring him, I just have to go outside and shout. Richard? Yeah? The water's gone off, darling!
Their entire water supply is reliant on an intricate but fragile system of pipes improvised by Richard. Forces of nature permitting, water travels from a stream in the woods through dense undergrowth into a tank, from where it's pumped to the house, or not.
There should be water coming through the pipe, and I'm going to trace the pipe back up now to see where the pipe's broken. What happens is, because our water comes from the stream, and obviously everybody else uses the stream that lives around here, i.e. wild boar, deer, porcupines, badgers, etc. They all come up and down this stream to drink, and it happens quite regularly that they knock the pipe breaks, and the first thing we know about it is that we've run out of water at the house. The pipes are precariously balanced on these two piles of rocks, but it has to be to keep a nice level flow down into the tank. But there's still no water coming out of this tube, so they must have knocked it further up as well. Right. OK, here we are. OK, the water is definitely getting as far as here. And so if we reconnect there, fingers crossed, we'll have water back down at the tank and it'll start filling up. This is very much my job. I don't think Sarah even knows this lot is here. I think she just goes, I need a cup of tea! And that's it. That's as far as her involvement goes. So mending the actual supply of water is my job. Certainly cleaning out the tank with the silt and bugs and everything in it is my job. Emptying the septic tank is still my job. But yeah, Sarah's the early warning system when things go wrong. She's not actually the lifeguard that comes out to save things. She just lets me know that there's an emergency that needs attention.
Another of Richard's jobs is tending to their solar panels. As well as sourcing water from their own land, they keep costs down by using these for most of their heating.
We want to make the best possible use of what we've got. Having solar panels, using the wood from our woods, using the water from the stream, are all things that contribute to us saving money at the end of the day. We don't have a water bill, we don't have a fuel bill, and we have a very small, a greatly reduced electricity bill because we're not having to heat as much water.
Moving to Tuscany has allowed Richard and Sarah to spend lots more time with their kids, which is just as well. Marco's been grumpy ever since discovering he couldn't take part in the palio, but Richard's come up with a cunning plan to try and keep the peace.
OK, that'll be the top edge. Me and Gregory are in the show, so we're in full costume. And because Marco and Vittorio are too little to take part, they want to have a sword and a shield each, so that they can stand in the crowd and cheer us on with a medieval sword and shield. And Daddy's going to make them one. Ta-da! Dressing up, it's just a fun thing to do. Some people love it, and you can't persuade them otherwise, and I'm one of those people. So the opportunity to do it here in Italy and sort of parade round town, you know, with the lounge curtains on would just be fantastic.
So swords drawn, it's off to the palio. and time for Richard and Gregory to slip into something a little less modern.
For Richard, it's absolutely any excuse to get dressed up. So I think he's going to be really excited.
Come here, come here. There.
He was quite nervous this morning. He's very snappy, and that means he's nervous. And I don't think I've ever seen Richard Turnbull nervous, ever.
Hey-ho. You only live once, don't you? Why not wear the curtains?
Palios take place throughout the summer. In Pacia, it's a chance for the town to kick back and enjoy the festivities before the hard work of the olive harvest sets in.
I can see Daddy! I can see Daddy! Look, he's down there! Oh no! I can't believe there's no tights! Look, here he is! Oh, for goodness sake! Look at him with his curtains!
Yeah, saw the family. Heard them laughing, which hurts my feelings tremendously. Can't believe they're not taking their dad's efforts seriously.
Finally, Gregory gallops into view.
That's my boy! Gregory!
As summer draws to a close, Sarah and Richard take stock of their hardest few months since moving to Tuscany.
Having made the decision at the end of last year not to do the rental business this year, we threw ourselves headlong into making Casa del Sole as self-sufficient as possible, and we've done it. We're still here. We haven't had to pack our bags and go home.
The arrival of Sarah's mum enabled them to expand the farm shop, and sales have already begun to rise since they added homemade chutney, jam and locally sourced honey to the shelves.
I have loved this summer cooking things, making the jams and the chutneys, and if the internet shop takes off, I will be so happy because I've done all the hard graft, I've done the website, I've uploaded all the stuff. Now I just need to take the orders.
And having moved to Tuscany and adjusted to the chaos, Ray has decided to settle here permanently.
This life has been just absolutely wonderful. I just think it's been the best thing for me to have done, and I hope I'm helping.
It's a good life, but it's also a hard one. And as winter looms, there are still months of back-breaking work ahead of them.
The biggie is the olive harvest in November and December, because this year the harvest is huge. So I've really got my work cut out for me. There isn't ever a time of year that it slows down. It just carries on and on.
We are working incredibly hard and incredibly long hours, but actually what we're doing is working at our lives. So it's not a job, it's our lives. I wouldn't change a single day in the last 6 years. Even the worst days were better than our days in England, and I would do it again in a shot.
A picture of organic happiness. And next Thursday, Hugh Friendly-Whittingstall will have a smile on his face when he brings in the harvest at River Cottage Autumn, a new series at 8. Next tonight, winemaker Monty goes for the hard sell. Will he hit his targets, or will he bottle it? Chateau Monty.